Not everyone has the money to afford the latest GPUs, and some of us can't even afford the last generation GPUs. That's why in today's video, we're going to take a look at a GPU from a few generations ago, namely the 1050 Ti. We're going to do a super budget-friendly build with the 1050 Ti for those of us on a budget. But first, let's talk about the origins of the 1050 Ti. Now, the GTX 1050 Ti was released on October 25th, 2016 as a mid-range gaming GPU and a successor to the older GTX 950. 2 generations ago, it gained popularity amongst gamers and PC enthusiasts that were looking for an affordable graphics card that could handle modern games without breaking the bank. And one of the key features of the GTX 1050 Ti was its power efficiency. The card draws power directly from the motherboard without requiring additional power connectors, making it compatible with a wide range of systems that have limited power supply capabilities. Now, I managed to find a used GTX 1050 in my computer shop, and I'm going to be making a quick build for those of us that have a really low budget. I'm going to be pairing this used 1050 Ti with a Core i3 8th Gen. So let's go ahead with this build. Now, keep in mind that the GTX 1050 Ti is based on NVIDIA's Pascal architecture, which is definitely more outdated. It has 768 CUDA cores and only has 4 GB of GDDR5 memory. So definitely know what you're getting yourself into. But with that said, let's go with this super budget-friendly build.
Good. Oh, now what? This way, boy. Huh. Oh. Wait, teardrops. They're fresh. This way. Slow down, boy. Sorry. You're hunting deer, not chasing it. Yes, Father. You broke our bridge. How are we gonna get across? Step aside. Go. Oh. Hold. What are you doing? Oh yes, tarnished are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden ring? Of course you are. Unfortunately, without guidance, you are fated, it seems.
Alright, so is the 1050 Ti going to be a powerhouse card in 2023? Probably not, but then you have to ask yourself, what are you getting this card for? 1080p 60 frames per second? Most of the games that I tested in this video still play great. For older games, it probably won't be a problem and will still run smoothly, but for most modern games in 1080p, the GTX 1050 Ti might get you only around 30 to 50 frames per second, so it may not be able to run games adequately, so always keep that in the back of your mind. If you want to run games from 3 to 4 years ago, this card is going to do the trick, but with newer games, you're not probably going to have a great experience with the 1050 Ti. Alright, so for gaming, my overall conclusion, the 1050 Ti is good if you can get it super cheap or if you have a spare part lying around. It actually ran better than I thought it would from some of the older games. However, if I'm anywhat of a gamer, I would probably save a few more dollars, and I would recommend you save up for something like the GTX 1660 Super. The 1660 Super is just twice as good with much more future proofing, and I did make a video about the GTX 1660 Super in the past. Also, there are just much more superior video cards in 2023 in my eyes, even budget-friendly ones like the GTX 970. So unless you can get the 1050 Ti for super cheap like $100 or as a spare part, I'd probably save up for the GTX 970 or the 1660 Super. But what about for the video editing fam? Some people just don't play games and don't have the desire to. I found video editing on the 1050 Ti pretty snappy. With 4GB of VRAM, I was able to even handle 4K footage. I loved how the graphics card was really affordable and how the power consumption was so energy efficient, which are some things that video editors really look for. However, it's important to note that the GTX 1050 Ti has limited VRAM capacity, meaning it may struggle with editing high resolution or complex video projects, especially those with multiple high-definition video streams or heavy visual effects. The lack of VRAM could result in slower performance or even crashes when working with large video files or complex projects. But for 95% of amateur video editors, this does not apply because you're not really going to be doing intensive motion graphics stuff or intense 4K stuff. For most amateur video editors, the 1050 Ti gets the job done. It works absolutely fine for video editing, and I really enjoyed the experience. Plus, you have to keep in mind that the overall performance for video editing also depends on other factors such as your CPU, amount of RAM, and the video editing software you're using, so the GPU is not always the bottleneck. To conclude this video, in my eyes, the 1050 Ti is still a powerful little video card that gets the trick done. And if you're not a big gamer and just want a great video editing GPU that doesn't draw a lot of power, it definitely gets the job done and does have my recommendation. For gamers, I think save up a little bit more for the 1660 Super unless you can get this card for super cheap. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little review on the 1050 Ti. If you did, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe so I can keep making great content for you. Also drop a comment below on what type of video you'd like to see next. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.